Hi everyone, I'm Temi,
And I'm Tobi.
and this is
Totally on brand.
Hi Tobi.
Hi, boo. Hello. Back here with you. How are you, my love?
I'm good. How was your week?
It was okay. It wasn't too bad. Then again, it's like really intense season for me at the moment.
I don't
Trying
know
to
how you're
figure
doing
out
it.
what next. Yeah, I don't know how I'm doing it. How are you doing it?
How are we doing it?
That's the key question.
And we're still here bringing you guys gems and nuggets.
Yep, because everybody must be successful.
Everybody has to be successful.
Can I ask you a question? Why are you open to everyone being successful? Is a very big segue from the topic, but I have to ask that question because a lot of people are scared for everyone to make it together.
Are we talking everyone in like a macro or micro sense?
That's a good question.
Like my circle or like the world?
I've lost my train of thought.
Okay, so for
I
the
really,
world,
really
obviously,
started this.
for the world, obviously, because economics, the economy, everything. But for my circle, girl, because I want all of us to be able to afford expensive things together.
I like it. Do you think everybody has the potential to be successful?
I think 90% of the world's population have the potential to be successful. Obviously, there are some people who are just self-sabotaging and refuse to listen and don't watch our podcasts. But
I like that.
90%.
Shameless plug. That's my
90,
girl.
I think, yeah, most business owners, if you go into business, you have the intention of going into business, then you have the potential to be successful. And of course, that's what we're passionate
So
about.
essentially, success is applied knowledge.
It is applied knowledge and intention.
I like it.
And focus and discipline. Sorry.
What's a ball?
I said a lot. Sorry.
Okay.
Today's episode is an important one,
It
especially for
is.
entrepreneurs, our listeners. I mean, anybody really, even if you're a man in a managerial position. It is about something we've actually talked about before in season 1, but we're going to really deep dive into it, and it's about burnout.
Yes. Interestingly enough, I felt like when we did it with season 1, it was related to not liking
Absolutely.
your job.
Mhm.
What we did there was asking you, do you really not like your job, or are you just burnt out?
Yes.
And I remember we got so much feedback from that episode.
We did.
Had to bring this topic back,
Mhm.
especially because I'm going through it right now.
Yeah, me too.
How are you?
One of my streams, yes, is giving me
Okay.
intense burnout, but the other ones are uplifting me.
I love that.
Mhm.
Okay, so burn bright, not out.
Why did we call it this?
Let me repeat it again. Burn bright, not out. I love this topic. Temi coined it, and I don't know, maybe she's going to tell us why she called it. I really like this name, Temi.
It was a pun. It was like a play on words, but I really wanted it to hit home. So basically, we don't want you to burn out. We want you to burn bright.
Yeah.
Do you understand? That's what we're saying. Like there's a way for you to not dim your light and apply it to a business setting, essentially. So I don't want you to burn out.
Maybe we start by even defining what burnout is. I'll take a definition from my iPad quickly. Burnout happens when you're physically, emotionally, and mentally exhausted from prolonged stress. And as entrepreneurs, it does hit harder because your work is tied to your identity. That definition. Do you know what was key for me in that definition? When you're physically, emotionally, and mentally exhausted from prolonged stress. The key word there being prolonged. I've never actually paid attention to that part of the definition before. I guess you're not promised perfection, but what we're telling you not to do is to have periods of prolonged stress. Yeah.
Do you know, I didn't think about that either. And sometimes, which is why I think people burn out a lot, is because they are not even aware of how long it's been. Like you just find yourself, you've been in this situation for 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years, and you are wondering why you're burnt out. It's because of the prolonged aspects of it, Abi.
And what are the signs? How do you know when you're burnt out? For me, I would say, if I was to define it, is when I stop being productive, but I'm still very busy. And I start asking myself, Tobes, you're really busy.
What are you achieving?
What are you doing? So I know I'm burnt out. I'm trying to think when else I feel burnt out. When I'm losing concentration, there's a point and I can't concentrate anymore. What about you?
Detachment.
Do you like?
Yeah, I just detach. I just become really detached because all these other things you've mentioned, like the trouble concentrating, fatigue, which is obviously one as well. Although I will say that I don't know, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but I do think that women are able to work through fatigue a bit more just because we're used to being tired. I think we're just
I
generally always
completely
physically
agree. I
tired.
don't even know
Yeah.
if science backs it
Me
up, but I
too.
am backing it up.
I don't think fatigue is, but trouble concentrating definitely.
Yeah.
My own is detachment. It's like, oh, I'm
Mm,
not even like I wake
I
up in the morning.
can't.
I'm like, I don't even really want to, and
Yeah.
that's for me is a sign of burnout.
Me, when I start getting tired of making basic decisions, simple
Oh
things.
man, that's true.
So there's a decision fatigue
Fatigue. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
I'm more aware of it when I'm
Mm,
burnt out. When I'm not burnt out, it's nice. It's okay. I have to decide X, Y, Z. But when I'm
absolutely.
burnt out, I legit like I can snap and say I don't want to make any more decisions. I'm done.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a very good one.
I'm
Yeah, no. I was nodding, and then I was about to ask the listeners, "Are you nodding?" Because if you're nodding, then obviously you can recognize some of these in
That's actually a
yourself.
good point. Like, if you're listening or watching this, please share with us when you know you're burnt out. It's actually quite interesting to see how other people kind of feel
Yeah.
when they're burnt out. Because for me, the signs are key
Mm-hmm.
to knowing you're going through it. If you don't even know the sign or accept you're going through it,
Mm-hmm.
it's very difficult not
That's
to.
true.
Can you recognize a burnout in somebody else?
Yes. So, well, somebody that is very close to me, who I won't mention their name, obviously,
Yeah.
but when they get burnt out, they start to procrastinate. Yeah, they just start to
Ah,
procrastinate like intensely, like to the point where it's like, I'll get to this thing in 3 weeks. Like they even know that they just don't. And I think there is a
really?
certain level of detachment and also lack of concentration that is tied in with procrastination. But I can sort of see when other
People
people,
are burnt
maybe
out.
around me or close to me, are burnt out.
Mm.
There's another person that I work very closely with. When he's burnt out, he doesn't eat or sleep. It's funny. Yeah, yeah, he doesn't eat or sleep. I think maybe that's small decision fatigue. He's just
Mm.
I don't know. Ask him what he wants to eat. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that is so
Yeah.
interesting. And then what are I'm actually trying to process whether I can recognize burnout in people. I'm actually scared to say I have a feeling, but I'm not sure because
Mm,
I think, oh, you look burnt out or you're acting burnt out, but I don't know.
that's actually
Because
true.
sometimes
Yeah.
it presents also as personal.
That's true. So maybe you're suspecting, not knowing. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
Have you ever
fair.
confronted it?
Yeah, and the person will say they're burnt out.
Staff?
Okay, it's hard. Oh well,
Your employees?
yes. That one is tricky. That one is more for
And you
like,
know why I'm smiling? Because at the end of the day, we're employers
yes,
and we're trying to become better employers. A
yes,
lot of us are entrepreneurs and we're hiring people.
that's
As
true.
we're talking about burnout for ourselves,
We're not
I
thinking
now
about
thought to
them. Yeah.
myself, like, what happens? How do we know it for our employees?
Oh, I have identified a couple, but I'm not sure that I'm doing a good enough job of paying attention to all.
Same here.
But some are obvious. Like
Really.
you call, like those are the ones that you call them into the office and be like, is everything okay? Like, do you
I
want
just
to?
think, why are you not doing your job?
No, I no. You get you even left the why you're not doing your job
Fair enough, because you realize that this person is
because you're
not
my superstar. I once had a graphic designer, to this day. I hope he's hearing me right
okay.
now, because my superstar, like I when he was burnt out, I knew it. I just knew, and I was like, listen,
Really?
like even my family got involved, everything. But when he was burnt out, I knew immediately.
What did you do? I'm
What
curious.
is the issue? What is causing the burnout? Is it just the, like, he was like, it's just the, he felt like he was a hamster on a wheel. I'm designing, I'm designing, I'm designing,
I
I'm
wonder if
designing.
he knew he was burnt out.
I wonder. I knew, sure, but yeah, he definitely was. But like you said, we should probably be doing a better job of like. But you're right, because that thing of being an employer is like, are you sure you're burnt out? Or are you just lazy? Me self,
As
sometimes
we're
I'm
talking
lazy.
about it, it made me pause.
Yeah,
And when we finish this particular episode, I have to actually go back and
yeah,
ask myself, like, okay, there are so many different types of people that would experience
in
burnout
different ways.
in different ways.
Yeah,
And as an employee, I'm an entrepreneur, so
yeah,
I know I get burnt out.
yes.
Then what happens with the people who
Who
work
work for you?
with you
Yeah,
and
yeah,
even like people in employees,
yeah,
like
yeah.
what do they do when they're burnt out? So interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even begin to talk about the isolation that happens when you feel burnt
Oh
out.
yeah, yeah, yeah. For me, I start to feel guilt.
When you're burnt out.
Oh yeah, I feel
Oh
guilt because I
yeah.
never
No,
really
no, you're right.
believed.
You're
I
right.
never really put myself first. So like, there's that whole like hierarchy. Like first is my husband, then my kids, then maybe even like, I don't know. You don't
Mm,
prioritize your own self. So then when you actually are burnt out to the point where sometimes it takes on like a psychosomatic effects, like you start to get sick, like,
Yes,
do you
you do.
understand?
Yep.
I feel guilty.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. It's so interesting you say that because as you've just dropped it, I know that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I never associated it with burnt out, not able to guilt.
Mm-hmm.
So like that trifecta that
Triangle, yeah.
happens.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder how many entrepreneurs kind of sit in the guilt of, I feel like this, but I still feel guilty, which brings me to why does it even happen?
Mm-hmm.
So I remember when we did this episode before, we kind of listed all the
Mm-hmm.
different reasons. And I still remember some of it. Like people say people burn out when the environment is toxic,
Yeah.
when the workload is too much. Trying to think of the other reason. Um, when you're just not happy
Mm-hmm.
as a person.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I can't think of other reasons. So for me, whenever I felt an excessive workload, when I'm making too many decisions, when I don't know, can you think of any?
Work-life imbalance can lead to burnout. I would say there are certain aspects of, or maybe certain stages in your life
Mm,
where well, let's say like a new mom who's in
mm,
the office is probably likely to burn out a bit faster than,
mm.
say, like an entrepreneur that is,
Yeah,
is likely to burn out a bit faster than somebody who is not, because
yeah,
the work life balance has now been shifted really, really,
yeah.
in a way that has really had a negative impact on their life. Lack of support can also lead to
That's a big
burnout.
one.
Yeah, that's a big one. Like like you need support in your entrepreneurial journey. So having no support system can also lead to burnout.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And then another thing for me that I am trying to work through and is actually hard for me to
Please, I'm
admit
about to roll
this.
my eyes because I think I know what you're about to say. Go on, carry on. Just admit it. Tell the world. Confess. I knew.
Perfectionism.
Like, I have a few, like, you're one of the most, like, blatant examples of people who are dealing with perfectionism. But I have a few people that I know that deal with this. And you guys, you.
It's a problem. I don't think it's healthy.
I mean, it isn't.
So, which is why my mantra now is progress over
Which
perfection.
is a
I
good
actually
one.
think like
It's a good, and I'm proud of you. I see you really, really trying to. Well, it's really
I've
struggling. Have
changed.
you?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah, because I think the state of wanting things to be perfect is a disease. It's you never had that example anywhere. You don't even know what perfect
Perfect is. It
means.
doesn't exist.
Yes,
Yeah. Mm-hmm,
exactly.
mm-hmm,
Like people have created things
mm-hmm,
and shown you and used the word perfect,
mm-hmm,
and you have created this benchmark in your
mm-hmm.
head. So I'm changing the word perfect to excellence, whatever
Excellence.
looks,
That's
or
exactly what it
impact,
should be. Yeah.
and
Excellence.
whatever that looks like for me.
But let
So
me layer it a little bit. The perfectionism also comes with high expectations. And you know how sometimes you can have your own
as
level of perfect that's different from someone else's level.
yeah,
So, say you order a dress and I receive it and I think, oh my God, it's perfect for the occasion. And you receive it and you're like, yeah, but I can see two threads. It's about
it's
the
so
high
true.
expectation that you
It's
have
true.
put on
The
the
I
standard of excellence. So
yes,
sometimes it's a bit layered. But yes, I think that can also lead to burnout, because nothing will be perfect. So it just takes its toll, and especially we're talking now, guys, we're talking in a work context, right?
yeah.
So it can take its toll.
So tell me, I should be less perfect.
You can never be less perfect to me, but
Aww.
but what I'm saying is, in a work situation, on a work context, guys, perfectionism is very hard to attain, and it can lead to very unrealistic expectations of how things should happen. But excellence, like Toby said, is what you should be striving for, right?
Yeah, no, I like
Yeah.
that. I feel like even I needed to hear that for
Yeah.
sure. It's also a something we put on ourselves because
Mm-hmm.
you have gone on a journey to say, I'm going to do something.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know if it's good,
Mm-hmm.
you don't know if it's bad.
Yeah.
You have to go on this journey of how are people receiving it. So you work, 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 work until you're fully burnt out. And the sad part is when you're going on that journey and you've burnt yourself out, you've not even achieved.
You haven't. And the people
Achieve
that
the perfectionism you're trying to achieve.
and what's funny is, in a work context, the perfectionism that you're striving for other people or whatever it is, like maybe it's the product or the service you're putting out, they don't even really get to experience what you've been through,
It's
what you've gone
true.
through to even
It's
get to that
true.
point.
It's true. That is so interesting because as we're speaking, I'm currently like renovating
Mm-hmm,
parts of the
mm-hmm,
restaurant,
mm-hmm,
and it hurt me to do it like that. I wanted the big reveal.
mm.
I wanted the 4 months of just working, grinding, and then ta-da, it's done. And it was very hard to get in this journey of doing it bit by bit and doing it progressively. And it took a lot, a lot out of me to accept to do it this way. So I actually accept the journey of working through to be a better entrepreneur that is not burnt out because it's not healthy. I know the effect it's had on
On
me.
you,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
The impact.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Do you, so for me, in terms of the impact of burnout, it definitely, I found myself in hospital
Mm-hmm,
when I was burnt out. So the day we set up the restaurant, I had done the restaurant in 16 weeks and we opened on the 21st. I've told the story before and I'll keep telling it. We hadn't even like, we didn't even have enough money to finish. So I had to open to start making, so all the money. So if in a day we made like 100K, I'll quickly use that 100K to pay the tilers. They'll quickly go and finish another
oh
part of the house.
my.
It was wild. And the day we opened was the 21st of December when
Mm.
I first started. And as soon as we opened, I was welcoming people and I just fainted.
That happened to me.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
We're crazy.
So wait, when you fainted, what happened?
I don't know. I just woke up in hospital. Mask, oxygen mask, everybody. So I know someone lifted me. I just said, "Tuk, tuk, tuk." I had customers going, "She okay?" They're like, "She's fine. Just keep eating, keep drinking. She's okay."
Yeah.
And then rushed to the hospital, oxygen mask, breathing. And in all of it, I was like, guys, I need to check how many customers. I have some bookings on my
Mm,
phone. I need you
mm,
guys to like call them and contact them. And it was horrible. And it didn't stop there. From then, my diagnosis with anxiety and depression actually
mm,
came in that period as well. So I
mm,
had to go on medication, go on hospital, start therapy just from burning out.
mm,
So you fainted.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Where?
mm-hmm.
How?
I always, it's a funny story. I don't think I've ever fainted before this time. Or maybe I don't know. Sometimes they say you can like your blood pressure can just drop. So that's what happened. Essentially, um, you know what it was? It wasn't that I was burnt out. It was that the fainting caused me to stop what I was doing that would have caused burnout.
Oh.
I was I think what it was one, it was neglecting self care. It was an
Mm.
excessive workload, and
Was it a job?
it was a
Was
job.
it okay?
It was a job. It was excessive workload and lack of self care.
Mm.
Just powering through, not really taking time to recognize. And then it was a powering through that wasn't productive, right? So
Mm.
my blood pressure just dropped one day, and I just
In the way you sat at your desk, were you
I wasn't even at work, which is ironic. I was at home, but it was in response to like a work request I had gotten. I just
oh,
stood up and I was like, I don't, the anxiety of it or
just
whatever just fell. Ended up going to the hospital, ran some tests.
oh
They were
no.
like, you have exhaustion, first of all. Like I was like, yeah, you
Yes.
know, I've heard when people go to the hospital for exhaustion, but I used to laugh at them. Like, how can you be so tired that you go to the hospital? They were like, you have
They drip
exhaustion.
you up.
Yeah, they were like, you need to sit down here for 6 hours and not do anything. So
Yeah.
that was it. But that, I think it prevented the burn. That okay, that one helped
That
me. Yeah,
helped.
realize. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was.
No, it's
Oh yeah.
psychologically burnout is brutal. Like I
Mm-hmm.
said, like for me, it led to one of the worst mental
Mm.
illness I can even like. How can
Wow.
I let myself get burnt out so much? I
Yeah,
literally got diagnosed with anxiety and depression, like medicated.
that's crazy.
So I don't wish it on anyone. Like, seek on someone who's gone through it and still has to manage it.
Mm.
Don't let it happen. It's not worth it. I was on
Mm-hmm.
medication for almost 4 years. I actually only stopped the medication for pregnancy
Mm.
and very high dosage too. So don't let it
Oh,
happen.
we
It's
learn
not worth
something
it.
new every day.
Yeah. Yeah. So And I guess it brings us, and I think we've talked about this. How do you know? So you know
Mm-hmm.
how, you know what to do. You
Mm-hmm.
know when you're burnt out. We've
Mm-hmm.
told you what to do. No, we've told you how to
What can, yeah.
recognize
Mm-hmm.
burnout.
Mm-hmm.
We've explained what burnout is
And what can cause
and
it.
what can cause it.
So now we want to talk to you about how do you know, right? So yeah, you can know what causes it, but we want you to understand and really be like introspective and know what causes it. So like, we were saying, when you are no longer thoughtful in your role or management of your role.
Mm,
So thoughtfulness for me presents in the way you interact with people,
mm,
the way you interact with your business, like even the way you are putting together strategies, ideas, whatever, tactics, meetings. If you
mm.
start losing that, that is a sign.
That's a sign.
Of course, when you're exhausted and tired all the time, outside of other like physical factors, you're healthy, you're otherwise healthy, you're getting enough sleep, you're just always tired. It's just like a mental
Mm,
tiredness. When you're no longer growing or hitting your objectives, I mean, you were
mm.
mentioning that.
Honestly, I feel like for me, I can definitely speak on this. Like, it took me a long time to know the difference between when I'm exhausted and
And
when I'm
burnt.
productive,
Okay.
and accepting those seasons at
Mm.
different points and being okay with them.
Mm-hmm.
So I had my productive season. I mean, you experienced a little bit of it with me,
Mm-hmm.
like during pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
I was fighting
Mm-hmm.
to be more productive,
Mm-hmm.
but and you, my other friends would say, it's not happening, babe. Like,
Mm.
this season is not happening for you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you'll be productive in other ways.
Mm-hmm.
So that was very, very hard to accept. But I like the fact that I did have people to tell me the things I needed to. And one of the things you would always say to me at that period was, you need to know when your work times are. When it's time to close and leave it and go at it again
Mm-hmm.
tomorrow. And I thought that was a great strategy because I
Mm-hmm.
really implemented it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, yeah, and I'm a huge believer in working smart, right?
Mm.
I'm one of those people that
Oh, that one we know about.
I don't believe in working 12 hours to show that you're busy when you can get that thing done in 2 hours just by
Mm.
being productive and efficient and knowing exactly what the strategies are. Like, and
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the reasons why we are even doing this podcast, because we're trying to help you to be more productive and more
Yeah.
efficient at what you want to achieve in your business life. So for me, I would know I'm burnt out if I'm no longer working smart. Like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
just going through the motions, essentially. I
Mm.
am no longer tying my output to my goals. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
just working. It's not really, I can't measure anything.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I think that's also how to know. Declining productivity is tied to what you've
Mm-hmm.
said and I've
Mm-hmm.
said, and yes, that's also another way.
Another key strategy I would say for preventing burnout that worked for me was build a support system.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot stress this enough. Be around people who know you. When they know you, they know how to work with you, they know how to work around you, and they know how to advise you. And most importantly, in your workspace, build a strong team. So either the team that works for you or the team that works with you. But that is a big strategy in preventing burnout. If you're the smartest person on your team, you will be burnt out. Should I repeat that? If you are the smartest person in your team, you will be burnt out. And what that means is make sure you're constantly like strategizing, brainstorming, and working with people that can, all of you are pouring in and pouring out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just one person doing a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
runaround thinking,
Mm-hmm.
strategy, and the decision making as well. I think for me, that's also another thing that leads to burnout and a strategy to kind of overcome it.
Mm-hmm. Um, so for me, I think that I just want to expand on that a little bit. As an entrepreneur or a business owner, you have to really get into the habit of delegating.
Mm.
So it's not even about you having people on your team that you can learn from, which is crucial, I would say, because honestly, if you're an entrepreneur and you think that you know it all, then there's no point because but you also have to learn how to delegate. So, what that means is you need to
Mm.
identify the strengths and weaknesses of people on your team. Managing a team is one of the hardest things that you'll ever do.
Listen.
I went to I went to business school, and
Mm.
one of the hardest things that they will tell you is
It's
managing a
managing
team.
people.
Leadership is
Yes.
difficult. That's why the module for leadership was the longest one.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand? Because everybody on your team has their own personality,
Mm-hmm.
their own method of working, their own
Orientation,
experience, orientation, culture, blah, 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 mental health,
goals in
goals in
life.
life. And they also at different stages in their own lives.
Mm-hmm.
Then you now say, okay, I like you. I like what you bring to the table. You are going to bring impact. You are going to bring,
Mm-hmm.
productivity. You're going to bring growth to this team. You need to know how each of those team members is going to work with you, and you need to delegate things to them. That will help you prevent burnouts, but it will also help them prevent burnouts because knowing how to
Mm.
delegate to each of your team members. I work on a team right now where there are people definitely smarter than me,
Yep. I like
100%.
that.
And I know that they are able to achieve certain things in a different way that I can. So the person I work for can delegate different things to us in
Mm-hmm.
different ways. I may be better spoken, but that doesn't mean I'm smarter. Maybe I'm just better at delivering what the smarter person has already
Oh
written
my
or done. Like,
God. I love that you
do you
said that
understand?
because
Yeah.
people need to understand the
Yeah.
difference. Yeah, I
Yeah,
like
so
that.
delegating will help you, and don't be afraid to delegate. I don't know. So sometimes entrepreneurs will be feeling guilt. Don't feel guilty. It's important.
Delegation should be a course
It should
on
be a
its
course.
own.
It
I
should
actually
be.
think it's a very
And
hard
there's a
thing to
strategic
do.
way to delegate. It's not
Yeah.
that you're delegating is not the same as fobbing off your tasks on people, like because
Mm.
you don't want to do it. No, delegating is identifying their strength and
Mm-hmm.
letting them shine in that.
In there.
Yeah.
No, I like this. I like this. And it actually leads me to another strategy I think people should um, employ when dealing with burnout,
Mm-hmm.
which is time management.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you ever heard of the Pomodoro
Ah, yes, it's been
effect.
gaining popularity, but I don't know how to do it, Sha.
I don't. We do it though.
Do we?
Yes. When you're working and you take a small break to go on
Oh, scroll
IG.
on Instagram. I've left
Mhm.
Instagram this month.
I know
I
you
had to
have.
because I was
I
like,
know.
productivity
How long
was.
are you out for?
I was doing, New Year, New Me, January, but girl, I've liked how more productive I've
It's
become.
nice. It's nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but guess what? No, we have to use it for business, so I have to go back.
Sadly,
I
you
know
kind of
you
have
can't you can't avoid
to
this.
TMA, the
I know the
pod, all the things
podcast
that you need to
exactly,
promote.
exactly.
But that's exactly what you've
Yeah,
actually just done as well.
yeah,
Like, yeah. So I think we all do it. We don't realize we do it. So it's that quick 5 minutes you used to go
yeah.
on
Okay,
IG,
that's true.
talk to your babies,
That's
talk to your
true. That's
friend,
true. That's
quickly
true.
check a personal message,
That's true.
quickly read an article, quickly talk to someone about a show. Have you been watching Young, Famous, and African?
I don't know why you people like. Okay, let me. A lot of people don't like me for this. A lot of friends. I'm pretty sure.
Why?
I don't watch
Reality
reality.
show.
Mm-mm.
Really?
Not
It's so
once.
proper. I need it
I
to
don't know. Like,
decompress. To avoid burnout, Timmy. To avoid
what do I?
burnout.
What do I
Um,
watch to avoid burnouts? I don't even
you
know.
don't watch TV.
I watch TV shows. I like my TV shows, but Young, Famous, and African, I've heard is really interesting.
You should. So I like. Okay, let's not go into. We'll do a whole topic on reality
We have
shows.
to.
We actually should, and the
The psychology
addiction.
around it.
It's right, but I think that Pomodoro effect makes a lot of sense
Yeah.
because I don't realize I'm doing it, but I do
Yeah, of
it.
course. Yeah.
Like I can be in intense work. I'm like, I need
5 minutes.
quick
Yeah,
minutes
yeah.
to just do. And what I do is I say it. I on my IG story I say I need to do nonsense
Yeah.
quickly. I just didn't realize that there was a theory around it.
Yeah.
But honestly, time management will go a long way for you as a strategy to avoid burnout. Like literally figure out what stresses you, and when you're in the middle of the stress, just take a quick break if you can, and then go back into it. Yeah. You mentioned something earlier when you were telling me the other day when I was telling you I'm really stressed, and you're like, "Are you writing things down?"
Journaling. Okay, so I think I find that writing things down helps. Funny story, yesterday I was on my notability app on my iPad and I found it wasn't, I won't call it a journal entry because what it is for me is I just write down, it's like a stream of consciousness. I write down what I want to do for in a particular situation or time or whatever. And I read some of my notes when I first started TME from 2013, and
You're still at it.
it's crazy because I would have thought that I would have grown up so much more than but it's not like it still resonates. I can still take my own advice. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I'm not sure.
No, I think the advice, you are not understanding that the advice that you wrote down
It's
or
what's
you
helped me
journaled
today.
it's never ending.
Mm,
There's no, you might not, it doesn't end. That
mhm.
advice is forever in your life.
It
Could it be one
wasn't.
of those?
It wasn't even advice. It was more like it was like aspirations.
Okay.
And so some of them have been realized, some of them haven't. But I'm just saying that it's the same thought process that I have now, which means
Oh, that's great.
which kind of validated my journey, right? I didn't
think
deviate
that's
too far. Yeah,
amazing.
I didn't
Yeah.
deviate
It
too
means you're
far.
clear.
I thank God because
Mm-hmm.
there are moments of doubt along the way. But journaling, if you want to call it journaling, if you want to call it note taking, if you want to
Mm-hmm.
call whatever it is, it's very important because writing things down can help you pinpoint exactly what it is. Like I'm pretty sure there's some. If I like if I go back into like some of these notes that I make,
Mm-hmm.
I could have told you at that point I was burnt out because of the way I wrote it, right? So there's a certain like job I had before I
Mm.
started TMA, and I could tell you that I was burnt out then based on what I was writing.
Mm. And interesting, what you just said is so key because another thing with writing things down as well is it just helps you remember.
Yeah.
I don't know if do you think your notes? I don't think it needs to be different. I think it just helps you remember what one should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
So, Timmy,
Mm-hmm.
interestingly enough, like thinking about this now, what would we then say are the potential benefits
Mm-hmm.
of not being burnt out?
So you know how, but like not being burnt out for us, for you, what we want for you is not really just about surviving; it's also about thriving.
Yeah.
And in order to thrive, you need your creativity to be up. So you need to make better decisions. Of course, and like a very, very obvious benefit would be that you're better at making decisions. Your
Mm,
creativity is there. You're more thoughtful. You're more productive.
mm.
You're a better entrepreneur.
To be
Just yeah, to
honest,
be
like
honest,
full
yeah.
stop,
Full
point
stop,
blank.
point blank.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. So, essentially, another reason for me of why you shouldn't actually like glamorize or sit in a burnout for too long is your health.
Mm.
One thing stress does is bring in or leave diseases in your body.
Mm-hmm.
And I need you to remember that. And stress is actually the biggest killer of human being because that's where all your diseases kind of stem from. So when you realize you're burnt out, it's only the person that's alive that can run a business. It's only someone alive that can make money. It's only someone alive that can train people, develop people, or be successful. So the key is to stay alive. And to stay alive, you can't be burnt out. So you don't release stressors into your body and then, get diseases. So for me, I would say that's a big long term benefit of
Mm-hmm.
not being burnt out, just not being
Not dying.
sick and not dying.
Yeah.
Because imagine you did all of this work and then poof,
Funny. Like, so
you're
what,
gone.
apart from the fainting, which we have now, has there ever been anything else that stress has brought to you physically?
Physically, yes, I've had IBS,
Girl,
blowout. I've had
I
IBS.
lose hair.
Yes, there's the
I
hair
lose hair.
loss.
I lose hair, and then my like apparently the psoriasis on my scalp like flares up.
Oh,
Like this,
really?
I don't know why it's just my hair. Like there's just it. I genuinely lose hair, and I was like, what is happening? And then
Wow.
it's funny because I would think I
So
used
you're
to.
paying attention. I didn't.
Oh no, you have
I
to pay
never
attention. Some
linked
people get
hair loss to
hives.
stress. I get
So some people
hives.
get
Oh my god,
eczema.
I get hives. I get
Uh-huh.
hives.
Some people get
Like it will just
eczema.
come and it will
Yes.
go just as quickly
Yes.
as
So
it's
it's a
come.
very intense
Oh, so
period
that's
of
a
stress.
physical
And when you go to the
manifestation.
doctor, they ask you, are you under a lot
So
of
stress.
stress?
They
Yeah,
do.
yeah, they do.
Always,
They always,
actually.
always, they always do.
Always.
Which
Wow.
means it's actually medically indicated for you not to be burnt out.
Don't burn out. Don't do it.
Don't do
Don't do
it.
it.
Don't lose your hair.
But
Don't be
work hard,
bold.
of course.
Don't be bold. But yes. And obviously we have resources, as we always do. We always think of you guys. Like, what are the resources that we can bring to the people?
I think for me, see, the thing is, the resources are endless
Mm-hmm.
to tell people how not to burn out. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's me, but I feel like it's such a, okay, hear me out. I think it's such an internal journey.
Mm-hmm.
You have to kind of be aware of yourself.
First.
So when I think of tools to help you, I think meditation, acceptance. Like,
But those are resources to be, yeah.
fair enough, I
Absolutely.
guess. I'm
Those are
looking at them
resources.
as like,
No, no, don't judge
maybe I'm
it.
trivializing
No, you are
them.
not trivializing it.
Yeah.
I like see meditation is
It's a
key.
resource, fair
It's a
enough, I
resource.
guess.
Meditation is a
Depend.
resource.
And then productivity tools,
Mm-hmm.
I think are changing my life at the
Mm-hmm.
moment. So
Mm-hmm.
one of the reasons I would feel burnout is doing intense things
Mm-hmm.
in manual forms
Mm-hmm.
or having to exercise my brain a
Mm-hmm.
lot deeper. Whereas you said something earlier that I picked up, which is like use tools, be productive. Like
Yeah.
don't do a job of 12 hours that can be done in 2 hours. But when I'm done doing that 12-hour job, then I have to leave that one, pick up another
Another
job,
one. Yeah.
pick up another job, then
Yeah.
go home, then be a great woman,
Oh,
be
wife,
a great
mom,
mother, be a great wife. And
human.
by then I'm done.
Just,
So,
just completely done.
in you saying that, I definitely picked up on that for
So,
sure.
so what we will do, I think, yeah, because there's so many productivity tools. And just as an aside, I was having a conversation with my dad the other day, and he was saying, you don't know how lucky your generation is. When we were younger, there were no
Really?
productivity tools. Like now, you can literally find a tool to do anything for you. I need to
That's
take notes, but in
true.
a, like Notion, for example, the way you can
Yeah.
make the notes, and then you can add the picture, then you can link it to a link, and then it's just a very, very, very
Yeah.
productive way of putting everything together. My dad
Together.
was like, forget iPhones and email. Like we didn't have productivity tools. Everything was
Tools.
very manual. So
That
just
makes
the
sense.
encouragement he was giving me to keep going, don't, whatever. But I think that it's also important to put everything together for everyone,
For the
because we can just list our favorites, but it's very
Yeah.
simple. You could just go to the app store and type in productivity tool and see which one works for you, but we will put together our favorite.
I love that. I even love that you can have those conversations with your parents as
All
well.
I
Because
do is talk to
a
my
lot
dad
of us
about
learnt
work.
on productivity from our
Oh
parents.
gosh,
Yeah.
yes, yes,
My mom,
yes.
bless her, she still tries her best, but like she goes through burnout and she's a trader. So you can
Mm.
imagine the layers of entrepreneurial
Oh my
burnout
goodness,
we've
yeah.
never captured.
True.
Think of like you said, the baby boomers.
Yeah, yeah. Like
A
how
lot of them were exhausted, but they didn't even know that
they
was what
didn't know.
was wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, so interesting. But no, I'm so glad we touched on this topic, and I really hope whether you're career driven, have a business, want to start a business, about to start a new job, currently in a job like you're going through a lot, just please, whatever you do, try and take a second, decide whether you're burnt out on this, on a lot of the points we have touched on. So the first thing is make sure you understand why burnout happens, understand the impact of burnout, understand how you know when you're burnt out, and most importantly, the strategies on how to prevent it. And while you're thinking through those strategies, make sure you hold on to the benefits of why burnout is not good for you. Is that a
Hmm.
good summary?
Fantastic.
Hoo,
I
hoo,
have
hoo, hoo,
one more
hoo.
thing to add. Should we
Is
talk
that,
about therapy?
I knew it was going to be something deep. There was a way your voice just went into like, Toby. That is a loaded question. I like
Mm,
it.
mhm,
I think 100% I am living proof
mm,
that therapy is important for entrepreneurs. It's hard for me to ask people to do it because it can be quite subjective. I think you have to first accept that you need it
mhm,
and you have to accept that you will benefit from it. A lot of people, therapy sounds like shrink. They're just going
mm,
like, therapy feels to a lot of people like you have a problem and you
mm,
cannot solve it.
mm,
And that's the truth. You do have a problem that you cannot solve.
mm,
But then there's the guilt, shame,
mhm,
worry
mhm.
of taking that problem to somebody else to get them to solve it for you
Yeah.
when you are inherently supposed to be in charge of your life, your
Mhm,
career, and
mhm.
stuff. Um, I like that you asked. I want to say yes, but I feel
Yes,
like people struggle with that.
it's worth a mention. And like my sister says that therapy is also work. You have to also work. You can't. It's not a quick fix. I mean, I think sometimes the
Mm.
connotation is that you just go, a doctor fixes you, and then you have to talk about your problems, and then you leave, and it's a bit, stigma. It's like a stigma attached to it. She's like, no, you actually have to
Work.
work. Yeah.
We need a whole topic on this. Like
Yeah, we
I've been in
do.
therapy for 5, 6 years now, and I do 3 different types.
Wow.
Yeah, I do a career one, I do a bereavement one, and I used to do a couples one. So we've
Mm,
stopped that. So now
mm.
I just do bereavement
And
and
career,
general,
or just
like
general.
just general. But
Yeah.
that general also helps my
Your
career
career.
as well
It's
because it
it's
just equipped
important.
me with
Yeah.
how to navigate
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was a nice question. I like that.
Mm-mm-mm.
Nice way to
Mm-mm-mm.
end.
Mm-hmm.
Question time, the best part of the pod. I like when people write to us.
Mm-hmm.
This is cool. Okay, so welcome to the best part of the pod. No, Timmy, you take this time.
So now we've come to the most interesting part of the podcast, where we take questions that have been written to us and we try to tackle them as best as we can. Tobes, are you ready?
Bon ready. day.
I know you are. All right, number one. I run a small business and feel guilty when I take breaks. Girl, how do I stop feeling like I'm slacking off?
Write your to-dos, tick them off, relax.
Do you know what I do to take breaks? Don't laugh at me, please,
Tell
because
me.
it's going to make me sound very
Yeah,
more
tell
serious
me.
than I am. That Pomodoro thing, that 5 minutes, I have started playing the New York Times like games. Like there's an app that just gives you the New York Times
Games.
games.
I
So
want
whether
it.
it's Sudoku or it's the crossword or this
Send it to
groups
me.
of four, but it's just it
I
because it
love
I
it.
have to like
Just yeah,
stimulate my
yeah,
brain, but I'm
yeah, yeah.
also playing a game, so I'm relaxing.
Yeah, yeah, I
So
get
what's the
it.
answer again? Set your goals.
Yes. So what I was thinking was, the question says, why do I forget? How do I stop feeling like I feel like if you write it down
Mm-hmm.
and you're ticking it off,
Mm-hmm.
when you're taking the break, it's ticked off. There's no guilt again. You have,
Checklists are my favorite thing.
yeah, you're productive. You've set out, these are the things I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to do. And
Mm-hmm.
as you're ticking it off, the
Mm-hmm.
guilt will fall off.
Mm-hmm.
And the ones you don't tick, you already make a plan for it. So
Mm-hmm.
hopefully that reduces the guilt. But I
Absolutely.
love this productivity thing you said,
So you
because
don't feel so guilty. I mean,
yeah, you play
mm,
like games that are mentally
mentally.
stimulating.
But yeah, I'm just saying. And
If
but yeah,
your
I
boss
like.
catches you playing
I'll say
games,
I'm stimulating my brain.
okay,
No,
fair
but
enough.
listen, you're right. That the checklist is good. I think mentally checklists help us to feel productive and then do take
Less
a break.
guilty,
But
yeah.
within reason, right? Breaks that are.
Exactly, yes.
Next
Yes.
one.
What's the one thing you had to unlearn about the hustle culture to avoid burnout?
Hmm. First of all, let me start by saying that I don't know that it is possible. I can only speak for myself and maybe for Toby, for us to unlearn the hustle. Like we can unlearn certain things, but we're gonna continue hustling.
Yes. I was about to say, first of all, I'm still struggling to unlearn the hustle culture
Honestly, I
because
can't.
I grew up in a house where my mom literally toiled every day. There were times when I was a baby or young, there was a time she actually left me for 2 years because she had to go
Mhm.
to buy stuff, but she couldn't afford to go back and forth. She couldn't afford to buy multiple
So it's
tickets.
just easier
So she
to.
just stayed there and she just sent the goods. And I had to live with people. So I
Mm.
didn't see her for 2, 3 years.
Mhm.
And that was most of my childhood. I actually did not see my mom a lot or my parents a lot. So for me to unlearn that hustle culture is a very tough one. However, I also know I have to unlearn it for
Mhm.
burnout. So I'm not really
For burnout,
for
yeah,
burnout as
yeah.
well. So Timmy, I don't know how to answer
Um,
this question. I'm not gonna lie to you
unlearn
because
about
I'm
hustle
not
culture.
unlearning. I'm working through it with my therapist.
So, let's even think about why the hustle culture is there. It's that multiple streams of income
Mine is fear of
mentality
going back to
to
to not having.
have exactly. So
I'm afraid to
uh-huh.
not have.
So multiple streams touches on that because you never want to not have money, right? Let's even simplify it. You never want to not have money. And I
For
think
my
that for
basics.
your basics, like
Yes.
that thing of being able to pay for the things you need is very, very
It's so
important.
key.
So the hustle culture really is deeply rooted in the fear of not having.
Hmm.
But to avoid burnout, some of the things we've talked about, like how to increase your productivity, how to
Maybe not even link it. Maybe not link the fear, the emotional
the
issue
burn,
to
yeah,
the physical
to
work.
the actual physical work. That's
Because
the
if you
first
think
step.
about it, my fear of not having is
Yeah,
trauma.
yeah.
And bringing trauma
To
into
work
work
and
and turning
productivity.
it into a reason.
Yeah,
But that is the
that's
problem.
the
Keep the
problem.
trauma there and work your work.
But also
Work your work.
work your
Toby
work.
Hamilton, what the hell is that?
It means what it means.
Work
Work your
your
work.
work.
Like,
I
girl,
like it.
please
Work your
print a
work.
t-shirt. Work your work. But then it's also the things like supports, find yourself a support system.
Mm-hmm.
Learn to recognize the signs.
It's
And
true.
also support system is very important. But I also think productivity. So take away the fear from the actual work.
That's the first one. For me, I
Because
like that.
hustling is because you want to work and you want to achieve, but don't let it be based on in fear as best as you can. And
Yeah.
then also do the things that you know you can to increase productivity, right? So I think that's
Producer, can they hear my spirit fingers?
work your work. Please, can we change the topic of this? The name of this episode to
So
work your work.
I can't believe I said that.
No, I love it. It is succinct.
Work your work.
Uh-huh.
What do you do when you're so burnt out that you're questioning whether entrepreneurship is even for you?
Hmm.
Hmm. Wow. Moment of silence.
Isn't that every 2 to 3 business days for every
Yes, to be
entrepreneur?
honest with you, do you know what? I don't want to lie to you. As far as you're an entrepreneur,
Hmm.
you might go through burnout
You
sometimes.
will.
The key is, have you learned from the first one and have you
Hmm.
fixed it? I don't
Hmm.
want to sit here and say you won't, because I'm yet to meet an entrepreneur who hasn't actually gone through
Yeah.
some level of burnout. Some
Yeah.
are intense, some are
Agreed.
mild.
Agreed.
Um, so what do you do when you start questioning whether entrepreneurship is even for you? Keep asking those questions.
Hmm.
It is a valid question.
Hmm.
A lot of us all want to own something, but I would say maybe explore the sense of ownership. Owning something is not easy. It is not glamorous. It is, I say all the time, I love working for people. I actually don't, if I had to pick between entrepreneurship and having a job, I still don't know which I will pick.
Hmm.
And that tells you a lot.
Hmm.
So whatever you do, if you're questioning it, keep asking the questions until you get to the answer. If you're a good entrepreneur and you're only asking yourself those questions because you're burnout and you're feeling insecure, then find your support system and
Hmm.
go and deposit yourself somewhere that will encourage you and validate you again. But if you're asking because you genuinely think the workload is a lot and you don't know if you can sustain it forever, entrepreneurship is a forever journey. If you cannot sustain it for a long time, ask yourself, ask us again. If you need to stop, it's okay. If you need to continue, it's okay. If you need to bring someone to join you because you know you can't do it alone, very okay too. But don't stop asking the question because it's a valid question. I don't think entrepreneurship is for everybody,
It's
and I don't
not.
think everybody should do it.
It's not for everybody.
Yeah.
It's not for everybody. I'd like to also maybe just very lightly touch on something we discussed a few weeks ago about pivoting,
Mm.
or restructuring. What did we call it? Pivoting or restrategizing?
Do you pivot or do you persevere? Like,
Persevere.
do I keep
Yes.
going or do I
Yes, exactly.
change
So
course?
again, ask yourself the question. Go and listen to episode about pivoting and ask yourself certain things, because sometimes the burnout can be, like we said, there's several reasons, but one of the reasons could be the environment,
Mm-hmm.
right?
That's
It could be
true.
the environment. And entrepreneurship is not for everybody.
It
Toby
really
said it, like
isn't.
entrepreneurship is not for everybody. But if you feel like you have clarity of vision and you know what you want to do, but you're burnt out, go and rethink or go and examine those things that are causing you to burn out.
Yep.
So that's my own little.
Question of today. What's one thing you wish you knew earlier in your entrepreneurial journey about avoiding burnout? Whew. This is actually quite straightforward for me. For me personally, everything cannot be fixed today.
Hmm.
Accept it, understand it, and figure out which you can do today and which you're going to defer to tomorrow. I think it changed my life because initially I wanted everything to be fixed today. To match the vision in my head. There's always a picture an entrepreneur keeps in their head. And sometimes I don't know where we get that perfect picture from, but everything cannot be fixed today, dear entrepreneur.
I need to internalize that one because I am like that at work, but also in my personal life, and I just want things to happen like
Now,
now. I need to fix it, Jesus. Anyway,
honestly, it's such a big thing.
it's a
And I
big
feel like a
thing.
lot of entrepreneurs,
Hmm.
because we have a picture in our head,
Hmm.
and you're the only mad person that needs to make that picture look exactly like how you've imagined it.
Hmm.
So sometimes it can be quite tough.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mine is quite simple and it's a little bit controversial, and it's not controversial, but
And why am I
whatever.
smiling
I
already?
don't know. Don't worry. I will now say it to not be boring.
Tell me.
My own is, and this is what I wish I knew early,
Mm-hmm.
is that you can't always please people, but you need to please yourself. And I will explain.
Very true.
A lot of the things that happen that lead to burnouts are really as a result of caring what other people want
Mm-hmm.
or what other people think or what other people
Very true.
perceive to be your own level of excellence or your own level of achievement.
Mm.
Now, I am talking to people who are serious entrepreneurs because, again, I don't want it to now be like somebody who isn't very serious when I'm like, hey, she said we shouldn't please people. No. If you have clarity of vision and you know exactly what you're doing and you have a clear strategy and you really, really want to achieve, you can't do that by caring about what other people think. The pleasing yourself part of it is the things we've talked about, like self care,
Mm-hmm.
self help,
Mm-hmm.
support
Self-help is self-care.
is self-care,
Wow.
support, productivity, things that you are the focus, you are the person at the end of the day that will benefit from not being burnout.
That makes sense.
When people die, they write loving tributes,
Mm.
and then they just move on. This thing that you're striving for, and the thing that you're working for, and the thing that you've been toiling, just either dies with you or goes on without you. So my point is, I wish I knew early on, because I did a lot of things in my entrepreneurial journey because I wanted to please other people. I wanted to make other people like, don't worry, they will be pleased with you if you do what you're supposed to do. If you're focused and you walk your walk, like Toby said, they will be pleased with you, but you have to make sure that you are pleased with yourself. So that is essentially my response.
Yeah, we're going to wrap up. Can I quickly touch on that?
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask you a question, Temi? On your journey with your business,
Mm-hmm.
do you think you would have gotten to where you are now without going through that journey of initially pleasing?
Do you know what I found, Toby? And I'm going to use you as an example to answer your own question. There is obviously serving your customer and serving your stakeholders and doing what you're supposed to do. But there's a certain level of audacity that you have to have that exists without pleasing. People pleasing is not the same as making people happy. Like, people will be happy
Fair
around
enough.
you.
Okay.
You did what you wanted to do, and you did it in 16 weeks because that was your vision. Not everybody who walked into the house would have been inherently pleased with a new place that now has couches. I want to sit up, like.
I think I
And
understand
I,
what you
I
mean.
I find that successful entrepreneurs, they do it mistakenly. Even though you think you're pleasing people, there's always one craze you have in your head
That is like,
that is like, I'm
I'm gonna
gonna do
do
it the
what
way I'm
I
gonna
want to
do it.
do
And I
it.
found that in my entrepreneurial journey, now looking back, obviously 10 years is a long time enough to be introspective, to be like, as much as I wanted to please everybody and fit the mold, I didn't really fit the mold, and that's actually what brought me more
Yeah,
customers.
when you were pleasing people, because you're not a people pleaser, not with
No,
your brand
I'm
either.
not. Mm-hmm.
I reckon that when you said that, I was a bit like, like, was she pleasing people? Was she cementing her business? I'm asking that because I'm in the same situation,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to, even with the house, I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to figure out now in this stage,
Mm-hmm.
I'm very data driven. I
Mm-hmm.
follow where the consumer tells me to
Mm-hmm.
go,
Mm-hmm.
which is not naturally who I am. I'm
Mm.
very much, I live in my own head. It's,
Mm.
I think I know what is best,
Mm-hmm.
but I've had to stop that and actually live in people's wishes and wants. So I wondered when I have an agency as well, and I found that with the agency I had to actually please people a lot because it was their brief, is their client,
Oh no.
is their
Let me explain. Let me explain. So, guys, we're not saying you should offend people, because the opposite of pleasing people is actually not offending people. The opposite of people pleasing is doing things that are structured. They stick with your strategy. They're tailored. They add value. You add value. What you're doing is adding value to your customers. You're not pleasing people.
Fair enough. Okay,
Today,
I
I
take
have
that.
gotten to a point in my career where I tell clients that we only do subtle, high quality designs. If you want me to
Good.
make you a logo that looks like ritual,
You
I'm
won't
not
do
doing
it.
it.
Got you.
Do
Okay,
you
I understand the
understand?
difference
I
better
just
now.
won't do
Yeah,
it. So
yeah.
I'm not and it was, and of course I did it in a very polite way.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, but
Yeah.
then again, you have to be, what you're talking about is
I was
following the
trying to find it.
consumer.
You
Yeah.
know what I'm
I
trying
know
to find
exactly
it
what, and I
because
think
I
it's
don't want people to
important.
think, oh,
You should be an eccentric recluse that doesn't like people. No, no,
not
no.
even that, or someone who doesn't realize that as an entrepreneur, your brand has to please and you have to peddle to people when you're selling
You
a
have to
little
peddle to
bit.
your consumers, right? So you basically are going to find out who your consumers are, and you're going to give them what they want. But in terms of burnout, right?
Got you. I
In
understand
terms
better
of
now.
burnout,
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not going to take on
You're
10
right. I understand
mediocre
better.
projects because
I get it. I get it. I get
So
it.
that's just in the context
I
of
understand the
burnout. But
differences
of
now.
course,
Yeah,
you
thank
will
you.
give
Yeah,
your
yeah.
customers value, which is what
Value.
you're doing. I don't
Yeah,
think
yeah.
you're,
I
yeah.
understand better now because I was trying to discern what
No,
I
and
could be
and
doing
thank you for
wrong.
taking me through that, because I also want people to understand the distinction between people pleasing and giving your customers value, which you
Value,
must do at all
yes, yes,
times. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
No, oh, that was fun.
Fun,
So
fun,
you're gonna promise
fun.
not to be burnt out this year?
Omar, please, there are many things that should promise me that they won't burn me out, but don't worry, I will try my
As I'm
best.
sitting here
I
like
think
this. I'm burning.
Girl, I was about to
I'm
say,
burning out.
I think that, don't worry, we'll help you. We'll help you. We got
But
you.
this topic has really helped because it's going
Yes.
to make me recheck myself.
Me too. I'm going to go home and actually go through this checklist and think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, baby.
Thank you.
Thank you too.
And thank you also for hanging out with us today. And if you found this episode helpful, please make sure to share it with 10 friends. That is now your new goal.
Yes, and don't forget to sign up to Tub. Like, share, follow, comment, and like Timmy said, send to all your friends.
Your church group, your WhatsApp group. Send
Everyone,
it to all of
send
them.
it to them.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you,
Bye
guys.
for now.
Bye.
See you guys soon. Bye bye.